Man charged in connection to a deadly shooting at a house party in Macomb over the weekend is in jail tonight.
23-year-old Donnell Williams is being held on a $500,000 bond after his first court appearance today. He was charged with armed violence. The shooting in the 500 block of North Johnson Street left 1 dead and 10 hurt. WGEM's Dylan Smith joins us live tonight from McDonough County at the courthouse. And Dylan, what did we learn today about Williams?
Well, Daniel and Mackenzie, we know now that Williams was arrested sometime Saturday afternoon, and we learned in court this afternoon that police say he was found in possession of more than a pound of cannabis and a 9mm handgun. Now, police also say there's no longer a threat to the community, but the investigation goes on.
We are looking at every avenue. We're interviewing, re-interviewing.
Interim Macomb Police Chief Jeff Hamer is confident.
This investigation will at some point turn into a forensic and ballistically driven case.
A person of interest is behind bars for the time being. 23-year-old Donnell Williams, who admitted to police that he was at the party but denied being involved with the shooting. The shooting that left 26-year-old German Bethia dead.
Priority has been given at the crime lab for our case. So kind of all the roadblocks are being pulled out.
A university shook that it happened so close to campus.
We are here to support everyone who might be directly affected or triggered by these events.
Western Illinois University President Guiyu Huang telling the community the incident isn't being taken lightly, as 6 of the 10 wounded were WIU students. Police confirmed Williams was a former WIU student as well.
Take care of yourselves and each other, and together we will come back more resilient.
But why the violence happened in the first place is still a mystery.
What we know at this time, there was an altercation and then gunfire erupted.
Altercation over what?
I can't say the particulars. I do know that it was not a active shooter type of a situation where someone was perhaps targeted or anything like that.
And Daniel and Mackenzie in court this afternoon, we also learned that Williams' FOID card had since been revoked well before Saturday's events. Now, Judge Nigel Graham called it a ghost gun that was found in his backpack, and that is when a gun has no make or model or serial number. Live in Macomb, Dylan Smith, WGEM News.
Thank you, Dylan. Williams is next due in court on April 12th for a preliminary hearing.